Head coach Jim Yarbrough, eighth season coming up, starting tomorrow. Practice officially begins, and a little less than a month away from, actually about a month away from starting the season in Wisconsin. A lot of guys coming back this year. Of course, one player, a key player, a Player of the Year candidate in Brandon Fortenberry, but a very veteran-laden ball club. Go ahead and your expectations this year and things that we should see though from the lines this season.
Well, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered still. But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I think the answers are going to be the kind that we like. Is Brandon Fortenberry going to be able to recover fully and be in the kind of form he was prior to his injury? And I think the answer is yes. He had a great offseason. Roosevelt Johnson was our leading scorer the last 7 games of the year. Was 17 points, 11 rebounds. Can he keep that pace up? If he can, that bodes very, very well. Todd Nelson shot the ball well for the last 5 games. So we had some trends coming from last year. Can the newcomers really come in and contribute and give us the depth that we need that we seem to be missing a year ago? So far, the answer seems to be yes. I really like what all our newcomers are bringing to the table. So we have a team with a lot of depth, seems very hungry from a year ago, wants to get some things accomplished, and they've had a very good summer and fall. And now we get to go to practice, and for the next 3 weeks, grind, scrimmage, practice, and get ready for a very tough opening week, but an exciting opening week of basketball. So we're very pleased. We know we have some things to do, and now it's just where we go and not just have good intentions or good work habits, but actually be able to put things in play, execute what we say we want to do, and be the kind of team that's calm and confident and can get things accomplished on the court, no matter who we're playing. And that's kind of what the place we're getting ready to jump off and into this season.
When you talk, we talked to a couple players right off the bat there, Brandon and Roosevelt, and with Brandon out, it was Rowe, the final month of the season, who really picked up and played at an all-conference level. But there's some other guys as well, some veteran players, some guys who came up late in the season. Todd Nelson, Jeremy Campbell, first year as a full-time starter. Antonio Benton, who came on big down the stretch. And another guy down low who started out good, kind of went back a little bit, but you expect big things out of him and Jan Petrovic in the post. Plenty of guys right there, and of course there's some others we're probably missing there, but really, Todd Nelson on the outside. Quinn Cooper, Jan Petrovic, Antonio, and Jeremy. A lot of guys who've got a lot of experience last year.
Well, last year we got into a place after losing Brandon where you got into a mode where you had to learn to win. And we did that by suffering through a lot of very close losses. But those were invaluable minutes. Those were experiences that a lot of those players would not have gotten, minutes they would not have logged had perhaps Brandon finished his senior year and the season had gone that direction. So we take the benefit of those minutes, and we take the benefit of not liking how the year ended, or maybe some of the things that we did that kind of ended our season prematurely because we weren't playing bad at the end. Those guys, Jeremy, Antonio, even Ochi getting minutes, Jan Petrovic for sure. They've had another year. They've heard the terminology. They know what we like to do on offense and defense. So all of a sudden we've created a pretty junior, senior-laden team that has a pretty good experience, a 5th-year senior, a 4th-year senior, and a number of 2- and 3-year guys who all of a sudden kind of know what we expect in practice and the intensity level that's necessary. So it bodes very well for us. It should anyway. And I'm not sure how the expectations will be for us, but I think we're a team that if we can come together like I've seen so far, we practice well, and maybe see the big picture. We've got a very tough non-conference schedule. We've got top 20 teams in Wisconsin, Marquette, and Florida, teams that went deep into the NCAA tournament a year ago. And those will be great challenges for us, but they're going to make us better in the long run. And if we can kind of see the big picture, what that 18-game conference schedule really means for us, and getting to Katy, Texas, and performing well, if we can see that and see the value in non-conference, how it leads to conference play, this team has a chance to be pretty good, and I believe in them. And we've got a Player of the Year candidate in Brandon Fortenberry, and as you mentioned, a lot of key people around him. How can you not be excited about what's possible? Of course, we got to get some things done, and we got to make it happen in reality. But it's a very exciting season. I hope our fans. We only have 12 home games, 13 if you count our exhibition. So I hope our students and our fans will come out and support us, especially when we get to that 9-game conference schedule in January and February. Going to be some great games, and hopefully a very special year, and they can witness it all the way around.
You lose a couple guys, lose a 4-year glue guy in Deshaun Patterson, Elgin Bailey who came in for the year. But you've got you in recruiting. You talked about it, and you went in and you got 5 guys, one at each position, and really probably one of the guys I know you're high on is Dre Carter. He's a guy that had a year of experience in the Big East, a year of experience in one of the top JUCO leagues in the country. But you've got some other guys, Jeffrey Ricard out of Plaquemine, 2 good freshmen, Avery Woodson out of Mississippi, Roger Woods out of Mississippi, 2 of the dandy dozen players, and then you brought in an energy guy on defense and Jamal James out of Florida. Mm-hmm. Talk about those guys coming in and kind of what you expect out of them in their first season in the line.
Well, last year we were in a place, especially with guards, where I thought our depth was very thin. While Todd Nelson was developing some confidence and understanding as a junior college transfer what it would take, we just didn't have the shooting, the depth, the speed, perhaps even some of those things. We really worked hard as a staff to make sure that we had a very competitive, deep group. We're a very deep team this year. 10, 12 guys who can compete for minutes every day in practice. I mean, there won't be a day to take off. These new guys, I think, bring us great ball handling. We become a very good shooting team. I think we have good quickness on defense. And I think, and not to exclude them by themselves, but the junior college players in particular, I think have all been real positive culture changers. They come in with a real love of basketball. They seem to be very, very motivated to do well. They are helping our program be focused, perhaps like it hasn't been in a few years. And I don't mean just a normal focus and guys working hard. I mean, they seem to have a desire and a drive that's above the norm. And when you have that as a coach, it's coming from within them and they're pushing themselves. Wow, that makes a big difference. And it kind of makes what you do a little bit easier. I'm very pleased with their preparation, how serious they are, their approach. There's no convincing them. There's no having to guide or mold them. They seem pretty, Dre Evans in particular seems to be very driven as a player to prove himself. That's a real bonus. So, we have 2 very talented high school players coming in here. The future of our program is going to be very bright. But they're going to be battling like never before to get on the floor and get some potential minutes just because we have that experience and we have those guys. But the years to come, there'll be some guys who are leaving. Jan, Roosevelt, Brandon, Todd, all those guys leave, and they're the next generation. They come back with some of the returners, and hopefully the next couple of years can be pretty bright for our program. But, first things first, this year, this focus, I just would love to see a guy like Brandon Fortenberry, who you recruit, you're in his home, and you talk about what you want to do together, what you want to accomplish. I hope that our expectations are realistic, but I'd love to be standing there in March smiling and enjoying a trip to the NCAA tournament. That's what we're all after, and I think this group has the potential to do that. A lot of work still to do, and we have to make it reality, like we mentioned earlier, but I'm really pleased with what this group seems to be possible and capable of.
Well, last question. In football, you've seen it's a changing landscape. Conference changes, and in basketball, in Southland is no different. 3 members gone. A good program in UT Arlington, a good program in UTSA, Texas State, who came on strong the past couple of years. With a talented ball club. They're all gone, but you bring in an Oral Roberts, a team with a winning tradition from the Summit League, good coach and Coach Sutton. How do you see the Southland this year in terms of, especially now, like you said, with an 18-game schedule?
Well, 27-7. That was Oral Roberts' record a year ago, and they got upset in their conference tournament, went to the NIT. So they're going to be a real, a thorn in our side right from the beginning. Great program, great tradition, great fan base. But as I look around the league, I look at the teams that I see. Oral Roberts clearly comes in with a lot on their that they're capable of. I think Stephen F. Austin just has a great style, system, program. I think Northwestern State's recruited well. They've got some experience coming back. They had a couple of kids in waiting. I see us being a team with the depth we're talking about. I see those 4 teams having a chance, obviously. Now that doesn't mean that someone like a Sam Houston or a McNeese, or, Central Arkansas has got a lot of players coming back, and this could be a time where they really pull it all together and they become a very competitive team. I know from our standpoint, I kind of liken our program perhaps to where UTA was a couple of years ago. UTA missed the conference tournament, got the last day. They got beat on the last game. The last 4 minutes, didn't even make the conference tournament. The next year, they went out and really were a very good team and dominated the conference. I'm not saying we can dominate, but I hope we can have that same kind of resurgence where one year we're just a little bit short and we just didn't quite pull it all together. Some things transpired against us. Now, the lessons learned, the experiences gained, the recruiting done well. Hopefully, it makes for a special year.